Good afternoon, dear colleagues. I'm Olena Shcherban, Deputy Executive Director of the Anti-Corruption Action Center. Our organization for a long time is interested in the procurements of healthcare ministry. Starting 2014, we prepare reports, and today it is pleasant to be here. And we remember that in 2013, our report was called "Who Earns on Procurements of Healthcare Ministry?" And in 2014, it was headed the diagnosis. Ukraine, the diagnosis is corruption, and now it is 4 years of healthy procurements. Why healthy? Because we see the trend of improvement, of decrease of prices. In 2015, the procedures were transferred to international organizations, and this was done according to law. And we studied 4 calendar years, those years during which these procurements were transferred to international organizations, and this law acted and is active until March, and we will have another year of 100% of such procurements, and we analyzed the procurements of oncology, medicines for children and adults, and we focus and we get support of Renaissance Foundation to analyze this information concerning oncology medicines for patients. And these procurements before and we got conclusion that previously there was a lot of abuse in procurement of these medicines. That's why we started the procurement of oncology drugs. Due to changes that happened in legislation and due to transfer of procurements to international organizations, the number of drugs increased and the prices were reduced. Our conclusions are approved by the accounting chamber. On average, the prices went down. So before, these were the procedures of the ministries, and now, due to the international organizations, the prices decreased to 40% due to transfer to international organizations. So corruption reduced, and after 2015, 16, 17, the prices were going down. And I would like to demonstrate the situation. We see that in pediatric and adult oncology, 84% of medicines were bought at a cheaper price, and as of today, they are bought even for less money, and they are bought for the state money and for communal money in the regions. Here, you may see the detailed information, the examples, how prices went down each year, and why it happened, why this reduction happened. Because international organizations buy medicines directly from producers. As we analyze the results of the tenders, we see that the number of producers who get the contracts of the ministry, compared with 2013, 2014, previously it was 0.5%. These were mainly Ukrainian producers. Now we have 74% and 66% in adult and pediatric oncology. So we have great figures, and the ministry didn't reach these figures before. And even professional those who are professional in procurements, they didn't reach these results before. So we bring some examples. The prices compared with regions and in comparison with 2014 and how it is done now. How it is done by the ministry due to international organizations. We see that the prices go down 60–50%, and this trend is ongoing. And there are some examples when prices they are a little bit higher for some rare medicines when prices went up, but on the whole the prices reduced significantly, and it allows to buy more medicines and to treat more patients. I would like to say that the reduction of prices and the broadening of the list of medicines, it is done even despite the decrease of financing. We know that in 2014-2015, despite Grivna budget was the same, but we buy foreign medicines mainly. And the dollar went up, and in dollar equivalent we had less money, but due to the involvement of international organizations, we were able to buy more medicines. And as a result, the number of patients who get treatment also increases, and the state provides for them. When we are speaking about the producers and distributors, I would like to show the trend and to dismantle manipulation that is disseminated by the media or by opponents of those procurements. 84% medicines that are procured, they are bought, they are produced in the EU. So we are speaking about such countries as Switzerland, Netherlands, and Germany, France, and other countries. Small number of medicines from India, but we have them still. And international organizations, they are really taking care of the quality of the medicines they provide. About one more indicator that contributed to the decrease of the prices. This is competition. The procedure, it provides more competition. And we analyzed this. And if we are speaking about oncology, so they had 3 proposals during tenders. And in the regions, the Prozoro system provides the analytical data that less than 2 proposals for a lot are provided. So previously at healthcare ministry in the sphere of oncology, only 6 companies won the lots, and several of them were provided by Mr. Bagri. And now we face different situation. Now we have such a situation when we have 33 companies and 22 are producers and 11 are suppliers. So we have broader circle, more companies who participate, and this contributes to the decrease of the price. About the comparison of procurements, so part of oncology medicines are bought directly by oncology centers and hospitals, and unfortunately the situation is different there. And in this graph we see that about half of the tenders that happened in 2017, only 3 companies got it. Those companies that won before, in 2013, 2014, they participated in the tenders of the healthcare ministries, and it shows that if this law stopped, and there will be big risk that companies that won the tenders at the Ministry of Healthcare before, they would return without any obstacles. In comparison with international organizations that have the opportunity to negotiate and to go to international markets, Prozora system does not allow this, and there are some bureaucratic obstacles. And because of these obstacles, foreign producers do not want to participate in Ukrainian tenders, especially they are afraid of corruption and the completion of all these certificates, getting some documents, and this prevents them. And we see that when companies, international companies, see this and they address the anti-monopoly committee, or there are some problems with law enforcement bodies, so they lose their enthusiasm the first day. They do not want to participate in the tenders. And when we are speaking about international organizations, they got the experience, and international producers, they participate now more in tenders. So this is about one medicine. When we compare the prices of international organizations, and also the price at which they bought it into regions. So UNDP bought it at a much lower price, and it was about 0.1 cent, and the prices in the regions are much higher, and distributors come to the market, and also it is connected with the fact that the ministry buys more products and more goods, and international organizations have the opportunity to have centralized negotiations with the producers, and due to the big volume, the price goes down. We are convinced that the issue concerning the procurement in the regions is also important, and it should be done through international organizations, and this instrument may improve the procurement procedures in the region. This is briefly the conclusions of our report. You may find this, you may get this report, and we may answer your questions on this report. This is an in-depth report, and we are glad that we have such renowned guests from the ministry, and I would like to give the floor to them. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being with us today to hear about this report. We see in this report and the report of the Accounting Chamber and Auditor Service, we see that the involvement of international organizations in the procurement of medicines, this is real steps in fighting corruption. So if we have minus corruption, we have plus in healthcare, and we provide better for our patients who really need this medicine. So the prices went down, we saved money. But the most important thing is that we are able now to save lives of people, of those people who need to increase the level of their health, who need this medicine to get treatment, and those savings of funds that we have due to the decrease of price. For this money, we buy more money for our patients. And this is really important. We buy more medicines, more vaccines, more medical products. And I remember at the beginning, in 2015, Olga Stefanyshyna, when she was the head of patients' organization, the Patients of Ukraine, and Dmitry Shcherban from LGV, people who live with HIV/AIDS, and Anna Gabko, people's deputy, and Igor Pereginets, deputy minister, they fought for this law. When this law was adopted, they fought in the ministry to stop the sabotage. And I came in August 2016. I had many documents that I had to sign in order to free those medicines that were at customs, and Igor Pereginets went, and no one signed documents after this at the ministry, and thousands of medicines were hostages at the customs because documents were not signed at the ministry. And a lot of work has been done since that time, and we see that about 40% of the price dropped, and this is more. There will be more medicines for the patients, for their health, for their lives. And there were many people that were dissatisfied because they earned from these high prices. Some monopolists that establish such high prices, and those opponents of us, they are really active. So the situation was analyzed, the changes were analyzed at the ministry, and there were many attacks, and also communication campaigns, and this was done against international procurements, and our biggest opponents, they tried to hit those changes. Because these change, because this may result in less lives saved, less people treated. So criminal proceedings were started concerning the immunodeficiency medicines needed by 2 children, and now we have 4 children who need this medicine and 1 adult, anakinra drug, and we bought this drug in 2018 through UNDP, and we brought it to Ukraine, and we directly handed them over to patients in order that they got this treatment. But because of police and prosecutor's office, they believe that there is some abuse of funds, but we bought these medicines and we provided these medicines directly to our patients, but against Olga, they started requests and interviews because of the situation, especially against Olga, Stefanyshyna, our colleague, and criminal cases may be started, but we just bought medicines that are needed for our patients, and we face such a situation each day concerning international procurements. So there are some verifications. They call us to police, to SBU, to some other law enforcement bodies and organizations, but no one found any corruption or any problems with it. It is weird. When there are evident corrupt schemes in 2013, 2014, no criminal cases. Well, no criminal cases were thought through by anyone. So this is an example. So this is the space for manipulation, the opportunity to revenge against those people who participate in those transparent procurements, and we believe that this will continue. I believe that today we should focus on the fact that this is a really successful program of buying these medicines through international organizations. This is minus corruption and plus life and health of patients. And we continue procurement through international organizations, and we created the Ukrainian agency that will buy the medicines in the world market according to the same rules. And this year we will have pilot projects with Global Fund and with others in order to buy medicines through new agency. And we now create this agency, and we improve the program of procurement through international organization. And Olena Stefanyshyna is deeply involved in this creation of these institutions, and now she's going to tell you about the steps in the program of procurement. First of all, I would like to say that going here, I remember press release of our organization of anti-corruption center, and it happened in 2013 before Revolution of Dignity, and we provided a medal of distrust to Bogotyryova, and because she earned 20 million hryvnias on HIV/AIDS drugs, and this was big money then. And we compared the prices of the ministry and the NGOs that bought the same drugs. And please think about it. This was a little bit more than 5 years ago. And for me, the reform is a bright example of change in Ukraine in these 5 years after Revolution of Dignity. And really, this reform is one of the most fantastic for me personally, because for 10 years I have been monitoring the tenders of the Ministry of Healthcare. And I saw that people steal, and because of this, other people who do not get these medicines, they just die. And now we see real results of fighting corruption, and now it is really pleasant to be here and to represent the Ministry of Healthcare, and to say that we procure medicines and vaccines and medical products efficiently. And other countries of the world, they start to get our experience: Moldova, Azerbaijan, and yesterday we had video presentation for Vietnam. They also plan to start procurement through international organizations. What it gives? First, this is competitive market. We may buy medicines at international markets. We see this real competition when producers compete among themselves for the market and they reduce the prices. We see new medicines in Ukraine. 60 medicines and vaccines were registered due to simplified procedure. This broadens the opportunity for the patients to get these medicines. And the new rules and transparency. These new rules, and we created the new agency we created in October last year. This is a state procurement organization, and we are thankful to the deputies and the Verkhovna Rada. They extended the law, and now we have the opportunity to build a new system in Ukraine that will act after the completion of the law on public procurements. Regional aspect is really important. So I saw the comparison of the prices, and it was interesting for me. The Department of Healthcare at Kiev Council, they buy one product for 24 cents, and some center is buying this for more than 50 cents. But they buy 3 times more of such medicines. So there is no logic, there is only corruption here. And the agency, we found that it would provide the opportunity for the regions, and taking these rules and procedures that are now used by the international organizations, the agency will have the opportunity to unite local procurements and provide the opportunity to oncology hospitals and other procurers to use the prices that are proposed to Ukraine by international organizations. And I believe that this is the point where we see real results at the national procurement level, and now we should improve the situation at the local level, because the funds that are allocated locally, this is the same, nearly the same amount as at the national level. We have 6 billion hryvnias for buying medicines and medical products and vaccines, and the same is allocated for the regions. So 40% of funds, I would say it tolerantly they overexpand this money in the regions. I would like to thank Renaissance Foundation that supports this initiative in Ukraine. So they really save people's lives, and for me it is really pleasant to get notices from the patients. 5 years ago, they believed that this is a fantasy to get some medicines for free against oncology, and now they get these medicines for free. So it is unbelievable that this is ongoing. I remember when we speak with Olga, and we discussed the situation that this procurement is transferred to international organizations, and we should build our agency. And today we hope for this. I won't repeat about the concerns of the fund, but in the there is big corruption margin in the region, 40% or more, and this decentralization now does not help in this, and we will support NGOs in order that they monitor procurement at a local level, and also we will help the creation of medical procurement organization. More than 60% of Ukrainian families, they are forced to lend money or to sell their property or to use credit cards in order to pay for their treatment. 72% of people, according to our survey, says that people were forced to lend money for medicines, and they are really concerned when they get some bad diagnosis that needs immediate treatment or operative treatment. So this should be overcome. We see now that the average debt is about 14,000 hryvnias, and this is average throughout Ukraine. So this is the survey of 10,000 households. So this is a big burden. And this is not only medicines, but also medical products, stents, prostheses, and other products bought by the ministry, and it showed the example and provided the drive for the communal and other enterprises. And we call on activists and journalists to highlight those facts and to show, I won't say errors, but these intentional actions when the medicines are bought at increased prices and medical products are bought at increased prices, and we lose health of our patients, the ability to work. So I see that you are really interested today. We are not celebrating our victory, we are just planning our next steps. Thank you all. Now questions. Please, I remind you that our speakers will answer only the questions concerning the topic of our briefing, please. About the briefing, the last speaker said, I will speak Russian. Last speaker said about under processes, and our minister said that this is a transitional period, and that the new organization is created that will deal with tenders before it is transferred to Prozoro. Such people as Alexander Kosyakov returned to the organization, and he represents himself as the expert of the healthcare ministry, and he helped Galitsky Fund, and they provide prices that are 2 or 3 times higher than on the market. So I would like to get the answer from the ministry, and I will provide you the documents that confirm this information. I have 4 copies of these documents. Alexander Kosyakov do not have any relation to medical, to this medical body. Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Chief Editor of Criminal Overview. We also revealed some tender violations, and we sent requests to Suprun and the Ministry of Healthcare, and we didn't get any answers from this institution. Once again, I will provide this open request to the ministry, the request, and we've mentioned the schemes, tender abuse at healthcare institution, and we would like to get answers. And the sums are very big, and we may buy even more medicines for oncology patients. I would like to comment. We will study obligatory your request. May I comment about endo processes? And the processes is one of the least financed programs of the healthcare ministry. We have financing at the level of 10%. And now we are speaking about the efficiency of existence of such programs. Small money is allocated, and not all patients may get the medicines. So the doctor chooses to whom they provide these medicines, and we optimize the nomenclature in the sphere of endoprothesis, and until 2018 we adopted all nomenclatures. For 2019 you may see them on the site of the healthcare ministry and comment on them. And your investigations, of course, we will consider them, and I repeat, the name you've mentioned, does not have any relation to the state enterprise. He is not the employee of this enterprise. So we are speaking now about the report concerning ecology. If you have questions about endoprothesis and others, yes, this is an example, but we do not have detailed tables, detailed information on this. That's why please ask questions about procurement in oncology medicines, portal New Power. I would like to get a comment from Ulyana Suprun concerning and the processes. So there is a scandalous tender in 2018, and the media provided this information. The Crown agents, it gave the victory to the participant of the tender who didn't have the license, then the participant of the tender, and they didn't have a proper certificate, and won many times in the tender. So we would like to get a small comment on this. This is an important topic. I would like you to understand how the procurements are made. The minister, and this is the essence of international procurement, nor the minister, neither the ministry, they do not influence on the tender of the international organization. So this was about the removal of this corrupt margin of the ministry. And the minister of the officials of the ministry, they cannot order whom to choose during the tender. So we are ready to answer the questions about oncology medicines, and your request will be considered by the ministry in the established order. Thank you. Natalia Kikat, STB channel. Tell us, please, about national procurements. There is such American producer, Gilead. It produces the medicines against hepatitis. It leaves Ukraine. Why? So the ministry does not intervene, does not interfere in the affairs of the companies, of the private companies that enter or go away. Because we only register the medicines through the center, and at the end the ministry signs this registration. But the producers, they decide whether they will enter Ukraine and whether they participate in tenders of international organizations or in the regions or in Prozoro. They decide it themselves and they enter or they go away. So you didn't have any problems with them. And why they leave? No problem. We didn't have any problems with them. They provided some big compromises, and the license was provided to sell medicines in Ukraine at reduced prices. So they allowed other producers to create competition in the market of hepatitis C medicines. And last year, and we declared this, UNDP was able to reduce prices for hepatitis C medicines for $80 per course, and in Europe the treatment costs more than 1,000. So this company provided voluntary license for Ukraine. So we do not see the problems in cooperation with this company, and we see that for Ukraine, they really create special conditions for Ukraine in order to provide more patients who have hepatitis C, to provide them with medicines. Leonid Khomякov, portal Nasha Versia, our version. I have a question to all the speakers. It is really great that you jointly reached some results and limited corruption. And you said that in the regions that there are many cases and the ministry cannot influence. But people in the regions, they have this 40% margin. They do it consciously. Why didn't you use your tools, your measures to oppose them? Because people just fill their pockets with money. So you may just fire these people. You may say, you are not a doctor, you are a corrupt official. That's all. So I will answer briefly. So this question is to law enforcement bodies. Why Raisa Bogatyryova was not punished, and Roman Bogachev, who had a tender committee, he is not punished. They bought low quality vaccines at high prices, and this is the issue of law enforcement bodies, and the ministry cannot influence this procurement. The ministry, what it can do, it did it. And at the end of last year, the ministry provided the letter. And due to the Ministry of Economy and due to our support, we provided recommendations how to buy medicines in a proper way. So this is a step-by-step instruction. How to do it, how to set prices, if you want to do this fairly. And this, what the ministry can do. Unfortunately, the ministry cannot send people to prison. Only law enforcers can do this. So we sent many requests to the law enforcement bodies about corruption, but no criminal proceedings were concluded, and also we sent a request to national police. National police, it investigates only the ministry for buying some life-saving drugs that really help to treat people, to treat children. So this is the issue of political will and legislation, but this is not a question to the ministry. The ministry cannot fire the heads of the hospitals or centers. So there is an oblast council, and the heads of healthcare institutions, they are elected by the members of the medical institutions, and they are approved by the council. But the ministry does not appoint or fire these officials of hospitals. So please tell us, the tender is won by the enterprise that provides the lowest price for this medicine. Can it influence the quality of the product that our Ukrainian patients get? Maybe the tender race may result in harm to our patients. This is a very important question that really is of concern to our patients. And on the slides that the Center of Contraction of Corruption have shown, European producers, they are the main participants of the standards, and they have good certification of their products. So this control and verification of certification of these medicines that are bought, it increased from the start of introduction of this reform. For example, UNICEF, Children's Fund, buys vaccines and antiretroviral drugs that are pre-qualified by WHO. So this organization verified the quality, the efficiency, and they are 100% of high quality and good for those who consume them. Also, there are special procedures. This dossier is studied in what countries it is registered, and the story of this medicine is verified. So this is not only about the price, but also the verification of quality before tender procedures. Tell us, please, you've said about the example, anakinram drug, and criminal proceedings were started because of this medicine. What will you do in this situation? I know that there is no analogy to this drug. And what to do with the procurement of such rare medicines. So these medicines are for several patients in Ukraine. And patients are really waiting for these medicines. We know about these patients, and these medicines are now these drugs are used by our patients, and we are ready for the next supply of this medicine. But this criminal proceeding that was started last year, it really pressures our workers and on me personally, because having this criminal investigation, there are several questions. We are afraid that those medicines may be taken away from the patients, and this is really of concern to our patients, and how this criminal proceedings will go further, because we need these medicines in the future. So, and this is now under threat, and people are waiting for the supply of this medicine. And we revealed 3 more patients with this disease, and they are waiting for this drug. Irina Markevich, 1+1. Please tell us. I know that since 2018, all the hospitals and oncology hospitals, they should have formed their need for a year. Do they have this need for 2019? Because some hospitals say that they cannot physically calculate it. Can you voice it in hryvnias about the money and how the state can provide this year for pediatric oncology and adult oncology of adults? At the end of 2018, we formed the need in all the programs, and all the nomenclatures were formed. And now we form the number, and due to the fact that we accelerated procurement process last year, we were able to redistribute 910 million hryvnias for adult oncology. We allocated 700 million hryvnias last year, and from the budget of last year, we provided 910 million more. So the procurement for this money started at the end of last year, and the saving was reached, and this medicines will be supplied this year, and also we will collect need for 2019. And the nomenclatures are formed, and until the end of February, we will form the numbers, and we will provide the procurement at the national level even earlier than it was done in the previous years. Did all the hospitals provide this need? So now we provided the nomenclature, and now we will speak about the numbers, and then the hospitals will provide this information to Oblast, and then the Oblast authorities will provide this information to us. So this process is now at its beginning. So the official part of briefing ends, and now you may put your questions off records. Thank you.